Your last painful day has already happened. You just do not know it yet. The season that nearly broke you, the one that had you questioning everything you believed about God, about yourself, and about your future. That season breathed its final breath before you even pressed play today. You did not stumble onto this message. You did not land here because an algorithm decided to fill your feed with something random. Heaven does not operate through coincidence, and God does not waste divine appointments on people who were never meant to receive them. This message found you because something far greater than technology, far more intentional than any platform, and far more powerful than any human strategy orchestrated this exact moment. You were meant to be here. You were always meant to be here. And what you are about to hear has the power to rewrite everything you thought you knew about where your life is going. Let that land for a moment. Right now, in this very second, you are sitting at the intersection of everything you have been praying for and everything you have been afraid to believe. You have been carrying a weight that most people around you cannot see and would not understand even if you tried to explain it. You have smiled through rooms full of people while feeling completely alone inside. You have encouraged others to keep going, wondering whether you yourself had anything left to give. You have whispered prayers in the dark that felt like they were hitting a ceiling and falling back down unanswered, and yet, here you are, still standing, still breathing, still watching. That is not weakness. That is the mark of someone chosen. Chosen ones do not quit. They may slow down. They may cry in the car where nobody can see them. They may spend entire nights staring at the ceiling, rehearsing every mistake they have ever made, but they do not quit. And the fact that you are here right now, in this moment, on this day, after everything you have walked through, is proof that something inside you refuses to surrender. That something is not stubbornness. That something is purpose. It is the God-breathed assignment on your life that will not allow you to walk away, no matter how many times the enemy has whispered that it is over. But here is what heaven needs you to understand today. You were one moment away from skipping this. You were one distraction, one notification, one familiar voice of doubt away from scrolling past the very message that was sent to shift your entire trajectory. And that pattern, the pattern almost missing what God has prepared for you, is exactly what this message is here to break. Because that pattern has a name, it has a strategy, and it has been working against you far longer than you realize. Think about how many times you have felt a pull towards something, a gentle nudge in your spirit, a quiet knowing that you needed to stop and pay attention, and then something interrupted it. Your phone buzzed. A thought told you it was not the right time. Tiredness convinced you to leave it for later. And later became tomorrow, and tomorrow became next week, and next week became a season you cannot fully account for. This is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. And the first step toward reclaiming everything that has been delayed is recognizing what has been happening beneath the surface of your daily choices. You are not ordinary. You have never been ordinary. Even as a child, you felt it. You saw things differently. You felt things more deeply than the people around you. You asked questions that made adults uncomfortable because your mind was already reaching for dimensions of truth that most people never explore in an entire lifetime. You were called peculiar, oversensitive, too much, too intense, too serious, and somewhere along the way, you began to believe that those labels were accurate. Descriptions of a flaw rather than clumsy human attempts to describe something they could not categorize. But God does not make flaws. God makes assignments. And everything about you that the world called too much is exactly enough for the purpose you were created to carry. This is the moment where heaven presses pause on everything around you to deliver a word directly into your spirit. Not a general word meant for a crowd. A specific, surgical, deeply personal word meant for the one who almost kept scrolling. You are that one. You have always been that one. The one who carries more than others see. The one whose inner world is richer, deeper, and more turbulent than anyone around you fully understands. The one who has felt the weight of a calling without always having the clarity of a map. And God is saying to you today that the map is coming. The clarity is arriving. But first, you have to stop skipping the moments that were designed to prepare you for it. Every time you have bypassed a nudge, a prompting, a divine appointment disguised as something small, heaven did not give up on you. It simply rerouted the message and sent it again in a different form. That is how relentlessly God pursues the ones He has chosen. He does not send one invitation and walk away if it goes unanswered. He keeps sending. He kept sending you dreams you could not shake. He kept bringing certain scriptures across your path at specific moments when you needed them most. He kept placing certain people in your life who spoke words into you that you still think about years later. He has been trying to reach you, not because you are lost, but because what He placed inside you is too important to leave untouched. So right now, in this moment, make a decision. Not a feeling, a decision. Decide that today is the day you stop scrolling past your destiny. Decide that the next move you make will be one of intentionality rather than avoidance. Decide that the voice that has been whispering to you about something greater is the voice you will choose to follow from this point forward. That decision does not require you to have everything figured out. It does not require you to feel ready. It does not require you to have all the answers. It only requires you to say yes. A simple, wholehearted, fully surrendered yes to what God is doing in your life right now. You are not behind, you are not too late, and the pain you have been carrying has not disqualified you. It has been preparing you. Every hard season, every silent night, every moment where you felt invisible has been building something inside you that cannot be manufactured any other way. Character, depth, resilience, compassion, authority. These are not things that come from comfort. They come from the fire. And you have been in the fire long enough to come out refined, not destroyed. If you believe that this message found you on purpose today, that heaven arranged this moment specifically for you, type the number 777 in the comments right now. Let that be your declaration that you recognize the divine appointment standing in front of you. Let that number be the sound of a chosen one saying, "I hear you, Lord. I am here, I am ready. I will not skip this." Because what you are about to discover in the sections ahead will not just encourage you. It will confront you, refine you, and ultimately release you into the version of yourself that God designed before the foundations of the earth were laid. You are not here by accident, and this is only the beginning. You were never meant to blend in. And if you are honest with yourself, you have always known that. Even in your earliest memories, there was something about the way you experienced the world that set you apart from everyone around you. It was not arrogance. It was not imagination. It was a quiet, persistent knowing that the life unfolding around you was only a fraction of what was possible, and that somewhere beneath the surface of the ordinary, something extraordinary was waiting for you to step into it. But the world has a way of pressing down on that knowing. From the time you were young, the systems around you, the schools, the social structures, the family expectations, the cultural scripts about what success looks like and what a good life is supposed to feel like, all of those systems were designed for the average. And you were never average. So when you tried to fit yourself into those molds, something inside you resisted, not rebelliously, not destructively, but deeply, quietly, almost painfully. Like a river trying to flow through a pipe that was never wide enough to hold it. People around you noticed the difference, but they named it wrong. They called your sensitivity weakness. They called your depth overthinking. They called your spiritual hunger strange. They called your refusal to settle for less than what God placed in your heart stubbornness or pride. And because those labels came from people you loved, people whose approval you wanted, people whose voices carried weight in your inner world, you began to try on those labels. You wore them like ill-fitting clothes, hoping that if you tried hard enough, you could make them fit. You toned yourself down. You silenced your instincts. You smiled and agreed and went along with things that every fiber of your spirit knew were not aligned with your purpose. And every time you did, something inside you grew a little quieter, a little more distant, a little harder to hear. But here is what nobody told you during those years of shrinking. The things that made you different were never meant to be hidden. They were meant to be deployed. The sensitivity that made you feel so out of place in rooms full of people who never seemed to feel anything deeply. That sensitivity is a spiritual instrument. It is the thing that allows you to discern what others cannot see, to feel what others have learned to numb themselves against, to perceive the presence of God in moments that most people walk past without a second glance. That is not a burden. That is a gift so rare and so powerful that the enemy has spent years trying to convince you it was a liability so that you would never learn to use it as a weapon. The depth that others called overthinking is actually the mind of a builder. Chosen ones think in layers because they were designed to construct things that have never been built before. They see implications. They consider consequences. They ask the second and third and fourth question when everyone else stopped at the first. That is not anxiety. That is architecture. Your mind is drafting blueprints for something that does not yet exist. And what looks like overthinking from the outside is actually the preliminary work of someone who carries a vision too large to be explained in simple terms. And the spiritual hunger that people around you never seem to share. That insatiable longing for more of God, for more truth, for more depth in your walk with heaven. That hunger was placed inside you by the one who designed you. It was not put there to frustrate you. It was put there to drive you, to keep you seeking past the surface level, to prevent you from settling into a comfortable religion when what God wants to give you is a living, breathing, world-altering relationship with the divine. Your hunger was always a compass, not a curse. So why, with all of these gifts, all of these divine instruments placed inside you before you even took your first breath, why have you spent so much of your life feeling like you were on the outside looking in? Why has the very thing that was supposed to distinguish you made you feel so isolated? This is the question that deserves a real answer today. It is because the enemy understands assignment. He does not attack the ordinary because the ordinary does not threaten his kingdom. He attacks the chosen because the chosen carry the capacity to dismantle everything he has built. And the most effective way to neutralize a chosen one is not to destroy them outwardly. It is to make them feel so misunderstood, so out of place, so disconnected from their own identity, that they voluntarily suppress the very gifts that were designed to change the world around them. Isolation is one of his most effective tools, because when a chosen one is isolated, when they feel like no one around them truly understands what they carry, they stop sharing it. They stop stepping into it. They put the gift on a shelf and tell themselves they will take it down again when the time is right. And the time never seems to be right, because they are waiting to feel understood before they will agree to be used. But God is not waiting for you to be understood by the people around you before He activates you. He is waiting for you to understand yourself, to look at every quality you were told was too much and recognize it as exactly enough, to look at every season that felt like punishment and recognize it as preparation, to look at every relationship that ended, every door that closed, every plan that fell apart, and recognize that God was not abandoning you in those moments. He was repositioning you. He was removing what did not belong in the next chapter of your story, so that your hands would be free to hold what He was preparing to place in them. You were never meant to blend in, because blending in was never part of your assignment. Your assignment requires you to stand out. It requires you to be visible in rooms where visibility feels dangerous. It requires you to speak in moments where silence would be safer. It requires you to carry a standard in environments that have never seen one. And that is not a comfortable calling, but it is a glorious one. And glory, real glory, the kind that transforms lives and shifts atmospheres and breaks generational chains, that kind of glory does not come without a cost. You have already been paying that cost. You have been paying it in the currency of misunderstanding, in the sleepless nights, in the relationships that could not survive your growth, in the dreams that seemed too big for the room you were standing in. That cost was not wasted. Every bit of it was an investment into what is coming next. And what is coming next for you is not a trickle. It is a flood of clarity, a flood of divine connection, a flood of open doors that align so perfectly with the inside you that you will look back on every season of confusion and finally understand what it was building toward. Now, before we go further, we want to take a moment to speak directly to you, not just as a listener, but as someone who has become part of this community. This channel exists for one reason, and that is to reach chosen ones like you with messages that carry real weight, real truth, and real spiritual substance. If this message has stirred something inside you today, if it has reached into a place that needed to be touched, we want you to know that creating content like this takes time, prayer, and genuine dedication. If you feel led to help this ministry continue and to keep these messages reaching people who need them, there is a support link in the description below. Every act of support is completely voluntary. And whether you are in a season where you can give or a season where you simply need to receive, we are grateful that you are here. We are grateful that you chose to stay. We are grateful that you did not scroll past this. If this message is speaking to your heart, take 10 seconds right now and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Hit the like button so that heaven's algorithm can carry this word to another chosen one who is sitting exactly where you were sitting when this video found you. And if you have not yet subscribed, do that now, because what is coming in future messages is going to build on everything being released to you today. You are not just watching a video. You are joining a company of chosen ones who have decided that this is the season they stop shrinking and start stepping. And the next step begins in the section ahead, where we are going to talk about something that most people never want to face, but every chosen one must confront: the hidden cost of every single time you chose to skip. Every skip has a price. Not a price that shows up immediately, not a price that announces itself with obvious consequence, but a quiet, accumulating cost that settles into the architecture of your life so gradually that you barely notice it happening, until one day you look around and realize that something essential is missing. Something that was once vibrant inside you has grown dim. Something that once burned with urgency has cooled into a distant memory of what you used to feel when you thought about your future. And you cannot quite identify the moment it changed, because it did not change in a moment. It changed in 1,000 small moments of choosing later over now, choosing comfort over calling, choosing the familiar over the frightening invitation of something greater. This is not a condemnation. This is a revelation. Because the first step toward recovering everything that has been quietly slipping away is being willing to look honestly at the pattern that created the loss. And that pattern, the pattern of bypassing divine nudges, of silencing spiritual prompts, of walking past open doors because they did not look exactly the way you imagined they would. That pattern did not begin with laziness, and it did not begin with rebellion. It began with fear, dressed in reasonable clothing. It began with thoughts that sounded logical. Thoughts like, I am not ready yet, or I need to prepare more before I step into this, or maybe this is not the right time, or if I try and it does not work. Those thoughts felt like wisdom. They felt like discernment. They felt like the responsible voice of someone who was being careful rather than reckless. But wisdom and fear can sound identical when fear is sophisticated enough to borrow wisdom's vocabulary. Think about the last time you felt a genuine pull towards something. Not a vague wish, but a real, specific, spiritually grounded prompting that said, move in this direction, take this step, make this call, write this thing, have this conversation, walk through this door. You felt it clearly. You knew it was real. And then something happened in the space between the prompting and the action. A pause crept in, and in that pause, your mind began to build a case. It began listing all the reasons why now was not the right time. It began cataloging your inadequacies, rehearsing your past failures, measuring the gap between where you currently stood and where you would need to be to deserve the thing God was inviting you toward. And by the time your mind finished building that case, the moment had shifted. The atmosphere had changed. The urgency had cooled. And you filed the prompting away somewhere in the back of your spirit under the category of someday, without realizing that someday is the graveyard where the dreams of chosen ones go to be buried quietly and without ceremony. The hidden cost of that skip was not just the opportunity itself. The cost was compounding, because every time you bypass a divine prompt and nothing catastrophic happens immediately, your nervous system learns a dangerous lesson. It learns that skipping is safe. It learns that the consequences of not responding to heaven's invitation are manageable. And so the next time a prompting comes, the resistance arrives a little faster. The pause stretches a little longer. The case your mind builds against stepping out becomes a little more elaborate, until eventually, what was once a battle against hesitation becomes a default setting. You stop even registering the prompts because the pathway between hearing and responding has grown so overgrown from disuse that it barely feels accessible anymore. This is what the enemy intended. He did not need you to become someone who openly rejected God. He simply needed you to become someone who kept meaning to respond and never quite got around to it. Because a chosen one who is perpetually almost ready is just as neutralized as one who openly walked away. Assignment goes unfinished either way. The lives that were supposed to be touched by what you carry remain untouched either way. The generation that needed what God placed inside you looks for it and finds an absence either way. And the enemy does not care whether that absence was created by open rebellion or by sincere but perpetual hesitation. The result serves his agenda regardless of the cause. But here is where this message needs to go deeper than most are willing to go. Because God is not interested in giving you information that merely makes you feel convicted without giving you the understanding that leads to transformation. The question is not just what has the skipping cost you. The question is what drove the skipping in the first place. And the answer to that question requires you to go back further than your adult years. It requires you to revisit the moments in your younger life when you tried to step into something, when you reached for a dream, when you expressed a gift, when you allowed yourself to be seen. And what happened in response was not celebration but criticism, not encouragement but mockery, not affirmation but silence, or worse, laughter. Something happened to you when you were younger that taught your spirit that being fully visible was dangerous, that standing out came with a cost that was too high, that the gifts inside you, when exposed, would be met with rejection rather than recognition. And you made a decision in those moments, not a conscious, deliberate decision, but a deep, cellular, spiritual decision to protect yourself by making yourself smaller, by keeping the gift wrapped, by performing just enough to get by without ever fully releasing what was inside you. Because if you never fully showed what you had, no one could fully reject it. And that self-protective strategy, while it made complete sense at the time, has been costing you ever since. Because the gifts inside you were not designed to be protected. They were designed to be released. They were not given to you for safekeeping. They were given to you for deployment. And the longer they stay wrapped in the protective covering of your fear, the more those gifts ache for expression. That ache is what you have been feeling when you lie awake at night with a sense that there is more. That ache is what surfaces when you see someone else walking in the thing you know you were called to do, and you feel a mixture joy for them and grief for yourself. That ache is not jealousy, it is recognition. It is your assignment knocking on the door of your awareness and saying, "This is what I am supposed to look like on the outside of you. This is what I was created to become." And every day I stay wrapped is a day the world goes without what only you were designed to give it. The accumulation of those days is the hidden cost that heaven is asking you to reckon with today. Not so that you would walk away from this message drowning in guilt, because guilt without grace produces paralysis, not transformation, but so that you would walk away from this message with your eyes fully open to the weight of what has been at stake every single time you chose to skip. Because when you understand the true cost, the calculus changes. When you realize that your hesitation was not just affecting your personal fulfillment, but was actually leaving a gap in the fabric of what God was trying to build through you, the act of skipping stops feeling like a neutral choice and starts revealing itself as the spiritual emergency it has always been. You were assigned to specific people, not general people, specific ones. There are names written in the scroll of your assignment. People whose breakthrough was designed to come through your obedience, whose healing was meant to arrive through your willingness to step into the gift, whose faith was supposed to be strengthened by watching what God did through someone who looked like you and came from where you came from and survived what you survived. And every season of silence, every bypassed prompting, every door you did not walk through created a delay in the arrival of what those people needed. This is not meant to crush you. This is meant to awaken you. Because those people are still waiting. The assignment is still active. The door has not been permanently closed. Heaven has simply been rerouting, repositioning, and reorganizing around your hesitation, working all things together in the way that only God can, holding space for the moment when you would finally stop long enough to hear this and let it change you from the inside out. That moment is now. And what comes next in this message is going to show you exactly how long heaven has been trying to reach you with this same word, and why the pattern of near misses you have experienced was never about divine abandonment, but about divine persistence, refusing to let you miss your moment. God has been sending you the same message for longer than you realize, not because He doubted whether you heard it the first time, but because what He placed inside you is so irreplaceable, so specific to the moment in history you were born into, that heaven could not afford to let one missed signal become a permanent silence. And so He sent it again, in a different form, through a different voice, at a different hour of your life, but always carrying the same core, the same unmistakable fingerprint of a father who refuses to let his chosen one miss the fullness of what was prepared for them before the world began. Think back across the landscape of your life for a moment, not to rehearse the pain, but to trace the pattern. There have been seasons where a specific theme kept appearing everywhere you turned. A word that kept showing up in sermons you were not planning to attend, in conversations you stumbled into by what seemed like accident, in songs that came on at the exact moment you needed them, in books that fell open to the exact page that addressed the exact thing you had been wrestling with in private. You noticed it. You felt the weight of it. You whispered to yourself that this could not be coincidence. And you were right. It was not coincidence. It was a coordinated campaign of heaven, a divine orchestration so precise and so personal that even the timing of the interruptions was intentional. God has been repeating Himself in your life because repetition in the Spirit is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of faithfulness. When a loving father calls a child's name and the child does not respond, He does not assume the child is gone forever and walk away. He calls again and then again with increasing urgency, but never with decreasing love. And that is exactly what has been happening in your story. Every recurring dream that woke you up at 3 a.m, carrying an image or an impression you could not shake, that was heaven calling your name. Every unexpected encounter with a stranger who spoke something into your life that addressed your private pain without knowing anything about you, that was heaven calling your name. Every moment where you felt an inexplicable pull toward a specific direction, a specific ministry, a specific gift, a specific act of obedience, without being able to fully explain why, that was heaven calling your name. And the pattern itself is a message. Because the things that God keeps bringing back to you are not random themes. They are specific signposts pointing toward the lane you were always meant to walk in. The subjects that consistently stir your spirit are not mere interests. They are indicators of assignment. The injustices that consistently break your heart are not just emotional responses. They are the coordinates of your calling, the problems that you find yourself mentally solving, even when nobody asked you to, the people groups whose pain you carry personally even when they are strangers to you, the gaps in the world that you find yourself imagining how to fill. These are not distractions from your purpose. They are the definition of it. Heaven has been sending you a map, and the map has not changed. It has simply been redelivered in different packaging every time you set it down without fully reading it. Every time you got close to the thing God was pointing you toward, and then pulled back at the last moment, the map was folded up and sent to you again through another channel. And here is what is breathtaking about that, what is almost too much for the mind to fully absorb. God never sent that map with irritation. He never redelivered it with impatience or with a sense of running out of grace for your hesitation. He sent it each time with the same quality of love that He had when He first inscribed your name in the scroll of purpose, because that is who He is. His love does not diminish with your delays. His plans do not expire because of your fear. His commitment to your destiny does not waver because you needed more time to believe it was real. But here is the critical truth that this section must lay before you plainly and without softening. The pattern of heaven sending and you receiving without fully responding cannot continue indefinitely. Not because God grows tired of pursuing you, but because destiny has a dimension of time woven into its fabric. There are seasons of open access and seasons of transition, and the message that has been sent to you again and again, to the one that has been pursuing you through dreams and signs and prophetic words and moments like this one, that message is arriving now with a different weight than it has carried before. Because something has shifted in the spirit, something in the heavenly timeline has moved, and the pattern that has been repeating in your life is not simply repeating again. It is culminating. This is not the same as every other time you have encountered this theme. You can feel that even as you listen. There is a difference in the atmosphere of this moment that is not manufactured by music or by words alone. Something genuine is happening in the unseen realm around your life right now. And the fact that you are here, that you did not scroll past, that you are still listening at this point in the message, is itself part of the pattern. Heaven arranged even this moment. Heaven knew that this would be the delivery that finally broke through in a way that the others could not. Because you are different now than you were the last time this message found you. The fire that tested you in recent seasons did not destroy you. It clarified you. It burned away enough of the confusion and the distraction and the fear that now, finally, you can hear this without the layers of noise that used to muffle it. The signs you have been seeing lately are not random either. The number patterns, the recurring scriptures, the names that keep appearing, the dreams that carry a quality of weight and color and detail that ordinary dreams do not possess. These are not your imagination working overtime. They are heaven's most recent dispatches. They are the latest installment in a campaign of divine communication that has been running since before you were born. And they all point in the same direction. Forward. Into the thing you have been circling but not yet entering. Into the assignment that has been waiting with extraordinary patience for you to arrive at the place where your yes is bigger than your fear. You have been so close so many times, and heaven watched every almost with the tenderness of a father watching a child learn to walk, not with frustration at the stumbles, but with joy at the progress, and with absolute certainty about the moment the child would finally take the step and not fall back. That moment is this. This is the step, and everything that comes after this message, if you choose to receive it fully and act on it genuinely, will carry the momentum of every delayed season finally released into motion. Now, we want to pause here for just a moment, not to interrupt what God is doing in your spirit, but to speak to you with honesty and gratitude. This channel exists because someone felt called to create a space where chosen ones like you could receive messages that go beyond the surface. Messages that are prayed over, carefully built, and released with the genuine intention of reaching the hearts that need them most. If this message has been finding you in the deep places today, if it has been touching something real inside you, and if you feel led to help keep this ministry alive and reaching others who are sitting exactly where you once sat, there is a support link in the description below. Every contribution is completely voluntary. There is no pressure and no obligation. But if this is a channel that has added value to your walk, if these messages have been part of the pattern heaven has used to speak to you, then your support helps ensure that more chosen ones receive the same word that found you today. And whether you are in a season of giving or a season of receiving, we are genuinely grateful that you are here. Your presence in this community is not taken for granted. You matter to this ministry, not as a number, but as a person whom heaven saw fit to send this way. Now carry that understanding forward into what comes next, because the next section of this message is going to confront the one force that has been standing between you and every open door heaven has prepared, and it has been hiding in plain sight inside, a feeling you have mistaken for wisdom your entire life. There is an enemy that does not wear a threatening face. It does not announce itself with darkness or with the obvious weight of something sinister. It arrives quietly, dressed in the language of reason, wrapped in the comfortable clothing of caution, and it sits down beside you like a trusted advisor who has your best interests at heart. It speaks to you in your own voice. It uses your own logic. It references your own past experiences as evidence for why slowing down is wise, why waiting is responsible, why now is simply not the right time. And because it sounds so much like wisdom, because it feels so much like discernment, you have welcomed it into your inner world and given it a seat at the table where the most important decisions of your life get made. That enemy has a name. It is hesitation. And it is not a personality trait. It is a principality. This is the conversation that most motivational messages refuse to have. Because it is easier to tell a chosen one to believe bigger and dream louder than it is to sit with them in the honest, uncomfortable truth that the force standing between them and their destiny is not external opposition, but internal paralysis. The enemy does not need to build a wall in front of you if he can convince you to build one inside yourself. And hesitation, the kind that has been with you for years, the kind that shows up every single time you get close to the edge of something significant. That hesitation is not a natural part of your personality that you need to manage. It is a spiritual construction that was built over time, brick by brick, using the materials of your wounds, your disappointments, your unanswered questions, and your unprocessed fears. Think about what happens in your body when a divine opportunity presents itself. Not a comfortable, low-stakes invitation, but a real one. The kind that would require you to be visible. The kind that would demand something genuinely sacrificial from you. The kind that sits at the outer edge of what you currently believe about yourself and asks you to step beyond it. What happens in that moment? For most chosen ones, what happens is a sequence so familiar it has become almost invisible. First, there is the spark, the genuine excitement of possibility, the brief flash of yes, this is it. Then comes the pause, and in the pause, the voice arrives. It never screams, it whispers. And what it whispers sounds like wisdom. It says, just wait a little longer. It says, you are not quite ready for this yet. It says, what if you misheard? It says, look at everything that could go wrong. It says, remember what happened last time you tried something like this. And the tragedy is not that you heard those whispers. The tragedy is that you believed them, not because you were weak, but because they were sophisticated, because they borrowed the language of prudence and patience, and they made irresponsible delay sound like holy waiting. There is a difference between waiting on God and waiting because you are afraid, but fear is skilled at disguising itself as the former. Holy waiting is active. It is engaged. It is a posture of readiness in which you are preparing, positioning, and remaining sensitive to the moment God says, move. What hesitation produces is not holy waiting. It is spiritual stagnation dressed in religious clothing. It is the paralysis of someone who has convinced themselves that staying still is the same as trusting God, when in reality they are trusting their fear more than they are trusting their Father. The enemy understood something about you long before you understood it about yourself. He understood that you would never openly reject God. He understood that outright rebellion was never going to be his most effective strategy against you, because you love God too genuinely, and your connection to the divine runs too deep for open rebellion to take root. So he chose a different approach. He studied the specific architecture of your wounds. He identified the experiences that had left the deepest impressions on your inner life. The moment a person you respected told you that you were not enough. The season when you gave everything to something, and it still did not work. The time you stepped out in faith, and the outcome was not what you had believed for, and the embarrassment of that gap between your expectation and your settled into your bones like a chill that never fully left. He cataloged all of those moments and he built from them a fortress of hesitation, so customized to your specific psychology that it would feel entirely native to you, so natural that you would never think to question whether it belonged there. That fortress has rooms in it that you have been living in so long you have started to call them home. The room of not being ready yet, where you have spent years accumulating qualifications and preparation and information in the hope that one day you would finally feel equipped enough to begin. But the threshold of feeling ready keeps moving, does not it? Every time you reach the level of preparation you previously set as the requirement for action, the bar shifts. Because the bar was never about preparation, it was about protection. The room of waiting for confirmation, where you have asked God for sign after sign, not because you could not hear him, but because each confirmation he gave you was followed by a request for one more, just to be sure. Not because you doubted God, but because you doubted yourself. The room of what if it does not work, where the imagination of failure has been given more rehearsal time than the imagination of success, where you have spent more mental energy preparing for the worst outcome than you have spent believing for the promised one. These rooms have kept you safe in a very specific and very limited sense. They have protected you from the risk of public failure. They have shielded you from the vulnerability of being fully seen and fully invested in something that might not produce the result you need it to produce. But they have also kept you from the only thing that matters more than safety, and that is the fulfillment of the assignment written on your life before you were born. Safety is not the goal of a chosen one. Faithfulness is, and faithfulness sometimes requires you to walk out of the fortress of hesitation and into the open field of obedience, even when every alarm in your nervous system is telling you to go back inside. The scripture that Paul wrote to Timothy speaks directly into this moment. God did not give you a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. That verse is not simply an encouragement. It is a diagnostic. If what you are experiencing is fear, if the voice telling you to wait is rooted in anxiety about outcomes rather than in genuine sensitivity to divine timing, then that voice did not come from God. It came from the enemy, and you have been listening to it and obeying it as though it were a word from heaven, when in reality, it has been a strategy from the pit designed to keep the most dangerous thing to darkness, which is a fully activated chosen one, permanently neutralized behind the walls of their own unexamined fear. The dangerous chosen one is not the one who has the most talent. It is not the one with the most resources, or the most impressive platform, or the most polished presentation. The dangerous chosen one is the one who decides that obedience to God is worth more than the comfort of hesitation. The one who looks at the fortress they have been living in and chooses, deliberately and with full awareness of the risk, to walk out of it. The one who says, "I do not feel ready, and I am going anyway. Because the one who called me is more reliable than the fear that has been counseling me." That is the declaration that breaks the principality. not a feeling, not a surge of supernatural confidence that removes all uncertainty. Before you take the step, just a clear-eyed, fully conscious choice to move in the direction of what God said, even while the whisper of hesitation is still audible in the background, because obedience does not require the silence of fear. It only requires the decision that God's voice will be louder in your actions than fear's voice has been in your delay. And in the section ahead, you are going to face the full weight of what that delay has already cost in terms of open seasons and divine windows, because understanding what you have already missed is not meant to wound you. It is meant to make you so awake to the value of what is still available that you would never again let hesitation convince you to leave it on the table. There are doors that no longer exist, not because God removed them in anger, not because your worthiness expired, but because doors are attached to seasons, and seasons, by their very nature, do not last forever. This is one of the most difficult truths that a chosen one must sit with, not as a sentence of condemnation, but as an honest reckoning with the way time and purpose intersect in the kingdom of God. And today, heaven is asking you to sit with it fully, not to punish you, but to awaken something in you that has been sleeping through the alarm. There was a relationship that carried the seed of a divine connection, someone whose gifts were designed to complement yours, whose presence in your life would have accelerated the assignment and opened doors that your individual effort could never have unlocked alone. You felt the significance of that connection when it appeared. You sensed that it was more than ordinary. But hesitation crept in, and you told yourself you would pursue it when the timing felt better, when you were in a stronger place, when you had more to offer. And the window closed. Not because that person was taken from you as a punishment, but because destiny moves forward whether we are ready or not, and the intersection point of two assignments has a specific coordinate in time that cannot be revisited once it passes. There was an open door in a specific season of your life, a door that represented a step so aligned with your calling that even now, years later, you occasionally think about it and feel the ghost of what could have been. Maybe it was an opportunity to step into a leadership role you did not feel ready for. Maybe it was an invitation to share your gift in a public way that terrified you into silence. Maybe it was a prompting to start the thing, write the thing, build the thing, say the thing, and you stood at the threshold of it, and the whisper of hesitation was just loud enough to keep your feet from crossing over. And the door did not slam shut dramatically. It simply closed quietly, the way most important things are lost, not in a moment of obvious crisis, but in a gradual fading that you do not fully recognize until you look back and try to find the door and discover that the wall where it once stood is now smooth and unmarked. These are not comfortable things to acknowledge, but they are necessary things. Because a chosen one who cannot honestly assess what has been lost will never develop the urgency required to steward what remains. And what remains is significant. The grace that is available to you right now in this season is not a consolation prize for what was missed. It is a carefully rebuilt pathway, a divine rerouting that takes into account every closed door and every delayed season and every moment of hesitation, and somehow, in the way that only God can accomplish, weaves them all into a new trajectory that still leads to the fullness of your assignment. Not the same route, but the same destination. This is the part of God's character that the enemy never wants you to meditate on for too long, because it dismantles one of his most powerful weapons against you. That weapon is the lie that it is too late, that the missed seasons have disqualified you permanently, that the accumulation of delays has moved you so far from the original plan that even God cannot recover the distance. That lie feels convincing because it is delivered in the language of logic. It points to your age, your circumstances, your track record of hesitation, your current position compared to where you imagined you would be by now, and presents all of that as evidence that the assignment has been reassigned to someone more obedient, someone more consistent, someone who did not waste as many seasons as you have. But that lie collapses the moment you hold it against the truth of Scripture. The truth that God's gifts and calling are irrevocable, written in the letter to the Romans, chapter 11, verse 29. The truth that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion, written in the letter to the Philippians, chapter 1, verse 6. The truth that what the enemy meant for harm, God will use for good, written in the book of Genesis, chapter 50, verse 20. These are not poetic sentiments. They are architectural blueprints of how God operates in the lives of the ones he has chosen. And they mean that your closed doors, your missed seasons, your delayed obedience, none of it has the final word over your assignment. God does. And God says the assignment is still active. The calling is still yours. The gifts are still inside you, waiting not with impatience but with readiness. For the moment, you finally stop letting his hesitation make your decisions. But here is where this message must press into something even more specific, because the seasons that have passed are not the only thing at stake. There are seeds that were planted in those seasons that were never watered into fullness. Dreams that were given to you as divine deposits, but that have been sitting in a state of dormancy because the conditions required for their growth, which are your active participation and your willing obedience, have not yet been consistently supplied. Those seeds are not dead. Dormant is not the same as dead, but dormancy has a limit, and the seeds inside you, the ones that were placed there by God before you were formed in the womb, are pressing against the soil of your life right now with an urgency that is not separate from the urgency you feel in your spirit as you listen to this message. That urgency is not anxiety. It is life force. It is the kingdom energy inside your God-given assignment pushing against the surface and saying, "It is time. It has always been time. Let us grow." What would it mean for you to genuinely release those seeds into the soil of obedience today? Not tomorrow. Not when the circumstances align more favorably. Not when the fear finally quits. Today, in this season, with the resources you currently have, with the imperfect, unpolished, still being refined version of yourself that you are right now. Because the person you are waiting to become before you begin is actually formed in the process of beginning. You do not get ready and then start. You start and become ready through the starting. Every chosen one who has ever walked in the fullness of their assignment will tell you the same thing. They did not feel ready when they took the first step. They felt terrified. They felt unqualified. They felt the gap between who they were and what they were being called to do as a chasm that logic said could not be crossed. But they stepped anyway, and the crossing of that step was what built the bridge. The cost of what has already been missed is real, and we are not going to minimize it. But the cost of missing what is still available is a price that this message is pleading with you not to pay. Because what is still available to you is extraordinary. The doors that are currently open in your life, some of which you may not have fully recognized as doors yet, carry the weight of everything that was rerouted and repositioned through your delayed seasons. God did not waste a single one of those seasons. He was building in them. He was preparing in them. He was arranging in them. And what he was building, preparing, and arranging is now being placed before you in the form of the opportunities, the connections, the promptings, and the open doors of this current season before we move into the extraordinary vision of what awaits you on the other side of yes. We want to take a moment to speak directly to your heart about something that matters to us deeply. This ministry exists because of a genuine call to reach chosen ones like you with words that carry weight, truth, and the kind of depth that most content never touches. Every message on this channel is created with prayer, intentionality, and a real desire to see lives transformed by the truth of who God says you are. If these messages have been part of your journey, if they have found you in the moments when you needed them most, and if you feel a genuine leading to help this ministry continue reaching the ones who need it, there is a support link in the description below. Every contribution is entirely voluntary, given only from a place of genuine leading, and received with deep gratitude. And whether you are in a season where giving is possible, or a season where you simply need to receive, your presence here is a gift to this community. You are seen, you are valued, you are not just a viewer. You are part of what God is building through this space. If this message has reached something real in you today, share it with one person who needs to hear it. Hit the like button so that this word can find another chosen one who is sitting in the weight of their missed seasons and needs to know that it is not too late. And if you have not yet subscribed, join this community now, because what is ahead in this message and in every message that follows is designed to walk with you into the fullness of everything that is still available. The next section is going to show you something that will shift your entire relationship with time and urgency, because heaven has a window that is open right now, and what you do with this window is going to determine everything about what the next chapter of your life looks like. Heaven operates on a calendar that is different from the one hanging on your wall. It does not measure time in months and years the way the human mind does. It measures time in seasons, in appointed moments, in Kairos windows that open with divine precision and carry within them a concentration of grace and possibility that is unlike anything available in the ordinary flow of days. And right now, in this moment of your life, you are standing inside one of those windows, not approaching it, not waiting for it to arrive, standing inside it, breathing inside it, being addressed by heaven from within it. And the single most important thing this section of the message can do for you is make sure you understand the weight of where you are standing before that window shifts. The ancient Hebrew concept of time held a distinction that the modern world has largely lost. There was chronos, the sequential, measurable march of ordinary time, one second after another, one day following the next in an unbroken chain of sameness. And then there was Kairos, the appointed time, the moment saturated with divine significance, the intersection of heaven's agenda with human history, where something that could not happen in any other moment becomes not just possible, but inevitable for the one who is positioned to receive it. Kairos moments do not come on a schedule that human beings can predict or manufacture. They are released from heaven according to a wisdom so far above human understanding that even the most spiritually sensitive among us can only recognize them in retrospect or by the peculiar quality of weight and urgency they carry when they arrive. You have felt that quality before. You have had moments in your life where the atmosphere around you seemed to change in a way you could not explain rationally, where a conversation, a message, a dream, a scripture, or a moment of silence carried a density of meaning that ordinary moments simply do not possess, where something in your spirit stood at attention in a way that your conscious mind could not fully account for. Those were Kairos moments, and some of them you walked through fully, but some of them you stood at the edge of, felt the weight of, and then stepped back from because the weight itself was unfamiliar enough to feel frightening rather than inviting. This moment right now, as these words are landing in your spirit, carries that same quality. There is something happening in the unseen realm around your life that is not separate from the experience of listening to this message. Heaven does not send chosen ones to messages like this for entertainment. It sends them because a Kairos window has opened in their specific timeline, and the message is one of the instruments being used to make them aware of it before it shifts. And Kairos windows, by their very nature, do not stay open indefinitely. They are not permanent features of the landscape. They are appointed openings, held in place by divine grace for a season designed to give the chosen one the access they need to step into what was prepared for them. But they require a response within the season of their opening. This is where the message must be honest with you in a way that love demands, even when honesty is uncomfortable. The mercy that has been extended to you through every season of hesitation, the patience of a father who has sent the same message in 100 different forms because his love for you refused to give up on the delivery. That mercy is not a sign that the window will always be there. It is a sign that God wanted to make absolutely certain you had every possible opportunity to recognize the window before its season concluded, because mercy does not negate the reality of divine timing. Mercy operates within it. And the grace that has been holding the window open for you has been doing so precisely because this moment, this specific appointed intersection of your readiness and heaven's agenda, was always the target. Think about the parable that Jesus told about the 10 virgins, found in the book of Matthew chapter 25. 5 of them were wise and 5 were foolish, and the distinction between them was not one of worthiness or of love for the bridegroom. It was one of preparation and of timing. The foolish ones had the same invitation as the wise ones. They had the same awareness of what was coming. They simply did not take seriously enough the truth that the appointed moment would arrive with precision and would not wait for their convenience. And when the bridegroom came at midnight and the door was shut, the words that followed were not a punishment for wickedness. They were the natural consequence of a window that had opened and closed while some were not yet positioned to enter it. That parable is not meant to terrify you. It is meant to awaken you, because you are not a foolish virgin. You are a chosen one who has been carrying the lamp of purpose through some extraordinarily difficult terrain. But the oil in that lamp, the grace that fuels your calling, is not self-replenishing through passivity. It is sustained through active engagement with what God is doing in your season. And active engagement begins with recognizing the window you are standing in and making the decision to enter it fully rather than observing it from a cautious distance. What does entering this window look like practically for you? It looks different for every chosen one because the assignment inscribed on each life carries its own specific set of instructions. But there are common thresholds that appear across the lives of chosen ones who are standing at the edge of a Kairos moment. One threshold is the conversation you have been putting off having, the one where you speak the truth about where you are called and what you are building, the one that requires you to be seen in the fullness of your vision rather than the safety of your vagueness. Another threshold is the creative act you have been preparing to begin for years but have never actually started, the one that lives in the space between your most private dreams and the public expression of your gift. Another is the surrender of a familiar comfort that you have known for a long time is not aligned with where God is taking you, but that you have held on to because the familiar, even when it is insufficient, feels safer than the unknown. even when the unknown is where your destiny lives. Every chosen one standing in a Kairos window has at least one threshold of this nature in front of them, and the decision of whether to cross it or to step back from it one more time is the decision that this window is asking you to make, not in some abstract, future, hypothetical sense. Right now, in this season, with the specific life you are living, and the specific gifts you are carrying, and the specific doors that are currently open around you, some of which you may have been treating as ordinary when they are anything but. The enemy knows about your Kairos window. He always does. This is why the resistance you have felt in this particular season has been more intense than usual. This is why the distractions have been more persistent, the discouragement more aggressive, the whispers of not yet more frequent and more convincing than they have been in previous seasons. The intensity of the opposition you face in a given season is always proportional to the significance of what that season carries. And if the resistance in your life right now has felt unusual in its weight and consistency, that is not evidence that God has stepped back. It is evidence that the enemy has stepped up, because he is fully aware of the window that is open, and he is doing everything within his limited power to ensure you spend the duration of it distracted, discouraged, and delayed. But here is what the enemy cannot do. He cannot close the window. Only God can open and close the doors of Kairos seasons. And the one who opened this one is the same one who designed your assignment before the foundation of the earth was laid. The enemy can create noise around the window. He can make it harder to see clearly. He can send confusion and weariness and distraction to crowd the threshold. But he cannot shut what God has opened. And what God has opened for you in this season is real, and it is significant, and it is waiting for the weight of your yes to activate everything that has been prepared within it. The next section is going to take you into something that will reframe every hard thing you have walked through. Because what you have experienced is not the evidence of a forgotten assignment. It is the preparation for a destiny so specific and so precisely tailored to who you are that nothing in heaven or earth could have built it any other way. Close your eyes for a moment, even as you listen, and allow yourself to see something that heaven wants to show you. Not the version of yourself that has been shaped by every hard season, and every moment of hesitation, and every closed door. Not the version that carries the weight of what was missed, and what was delayed, and what has not yet arrived. But the version that is waiting on the other side of your yes. The version that steps out of this Kairos window fully activated, fully surrendered, and fully aligned with the assignment that was written on your life before your mother ever knew your name. That version is not a fantasy. That version is not a distant, impossible ideal that exists only in the realm of wishful thinking. That version is the truest, most accurate picture of who you actually are. And everything between where you stand right now and where that version lives is not an obstacle. It is a threshold. And the moment you cross that threshold, everything changes. Not gradually, not incrementally, not in the slow, barely perceptible way that most growth happens when it is built only on human effort, but with the sudden, unmistakable quality of divine acceleration that occurs when a chosen one finally steps into full alignment, but with the assignment heaven designed for them. Because when heaven and human surrender meet at the intersection of obedience, the speed at which things move is not governed by natural law. It is governed by the one who created natural law and is not bound by it. And he has been holding in reserve, through every season of your delay, a momentum that was always intended to be released the moment you said yes and meant it with your whole life. Imagine waking up in the morning without the weight that has been your companion for so long, You have almost forgotten what it felt like to rise without it. Imagine moving through your days with a clarity of direction, so clean and so unmistakable that the decision fatigue that has exhausted you through years of trying to figure out your next move simply dissolves. Because when you are walking in the center of your assignment, the path illuminates as you step onto it. Imagine the relationships that begin to form around you when you are no longer suppressing the fullness of what God placed inside you, when the gift is finally in the open, and the people whose lives were designed to intersect with yours can finally find you, because you are no longer hiding in the smallness of your hesitation. This is not a promise being manufactured by motivational language. This is a prophetic picture of what the Word of God says belong to the one who walks faithfully in their calling. The scripture in the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 18, says that the path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. That is your trajectory, not a trajectory of perpetual struggle and darkness, but one of increasing light, increasing clarity, increasing fruitfulness as you move further into the alignment that your assignment was always designed to produce. The version of you on the other side of yes walks into rooms differently. Not with arrogance, not with the performative confidence of someone who is pretending to be more than they are, but with the settled, unshakable authority of someone who knows exactly who sent them and exactly what they were sent to carry. That authority does not require a title. It does not require a platform of a particular size or a following of a particular number. It is the authority that comes from the inside of a life that has been fully surrendered to purpose, and it changes the atmosphere of every room it enters. People feel it without being able to explain it. Doors open in response to it without a human hand turning the handle. Conversations shift in its presence. Needs are met through it that logic cannot fully account for. That is the version of you that the people assigned to your life have been waiting for. There are people in your future who are currently in a darkness that your light was specifically designed to penetrate. There are questions being carried right now by individuals whose paths will cross yours in this next season. Questions that your story, your journey through the fire, your testimony of surviving what should have broken you, is the precise answer to. They are not waiting for a perfect person. They are waiting for an honest one. They are waiting for someone who has walked through the valley and come out the other side not unscathed but undefeated, and who can look them in the eye and say with genuine authority, "I know what this feels like, and I know the one who brings you through it." The version of you on the other side of yes carries a peace that the world cannot manufacture and the enemy cannot counterfeit. The peace described in the letter to the Philippians, chapter 4, verse 7, that surpasses all understanding and guards your heart and mind in ways that make no logical sense given your circumstances. That peace is not the absence of challenge. It is the presence of God in the middle of the challenge, so tangible and so real that even in the hardest moments of the next chapter, you will know with a certainty that goes deeper than emotion, that you are exactly where you are supposed to be, doing exactly what you were created to do. Right now, in this moment, as this picture of who you are becoming settles into your spirit, we want to ask you to do something simple but significant. Type the words "I am ready" in the comments below, not as a performance, not as a religious formality, but as a genuine declaration from the deepest part of who you are, a declaration that the version of you on the other side of yes is the version you are choosing to step into from this moment forward. Let those 3 words be the sound of a chosen one who has decided that the cost of staying where they are is finally irrevocably higher than the cost of moving forward into everything God has prepared. I am ready. Type it now. Let heaven hear it through the action of your hands. And as you do that, we want to take a moment to speak to you about something that comes from a place of genuine gratitude and honest transparency. This ministry, this channel, this space where messages like this one are created and released into the world exists because of a calling, a real one. Like every calling, it requires resources, time, prayer, and the kind of sustained dedication that does not happen without a community of people who believe in what is being built here. If these messages have been a consistent source of strength in your walk, if they have found you in the moments when heaven needed to reach you and this was the vehicle it chose, and if you feel genuinely led to partner with what God is doing through this channel, there is a support link waiting for you in the description below. Every contribution is completely voluntary, given only from a place of genuine leading, and received with a level of gratitude that words can barely contain. And if this is not your season to give financially, your presence here is its own form of partnership. Share this message with someone who needs it today. Hit the like button so that this word finds the next chosen one who is standing at the edge of their yes. Subscribe if you have not yet, because what is coming in future messages is going to continue building on everything being released to you in this one. You are not just a viewer of this content. You are a member of a community of chosen ones who have decided that this is the season they rise. And the rising begins on the other side of a yes that you are already carrying inside you, waiting to be spoken aloud into the atmosphere of your life. The section ahead is going to anchor everything this message has been building toward, because it is time for you to understand not just what you are called to, but why you were the one chosen to carry it. And the answer to that question is going to reframe your entire story. Before you were born, before your parents chose your name, before the first breath filled your lungs and announced your arrival into a world that did not yet know what it was receiving, there was a scroll. Not a metaphorical scroll, not a poetic device designed to make you feel special in a vague and general sense, but a real, specific, divinely authored document that carried the details of your assignment with a precision that would take your breath away if you could read it in its entirety. The psalmist David, writing from the depths of his own encounter with this truth, recorded it in the book of Psalms, chapter 139, verse 16, saying that God's eyes saw his unformed body, and that all the days ordained for him were written in God's book before one of them came to be. That was not a statement about David alone. That was a revelation of how God operates with every soul he creates. And it means that before the world had any record of your existence, heaven already had a file on you. A detailed, comprehensive, irreversible file that contained not just your name, but your gifts, your assignment, the specific people you were designed to reach, the specific problems you were equipped to solve, the specific territory of human experience that only your particular combination of strengths and wounds and history and perspective could effectively address. This is not a comfortable truth to sit with if you have spent years believing that your life has been a series of random events held loosely together by occasional moments of divine intervention. Because if what the scripture says is true, and it is, then nothing about your story has been random. Not the family you were born into, with all of its beauty and all of its dysfunction. Not the city you grew up in. Not the school you attended. Not the friendships that formed you and the ones that broke you. Not the losses that carved out spaces inside you that nothing human has ever been able to fill. All of it was known. All of it was seen. All of it was woven into the fabric of a preparation so intricate and so precisely tailored to the specific demands of your assignment that the mind cannot fully comprehend the engineering of it. Think about the thing that has caused you the most pain in your life. The wound goes deepest. The experience that, when it surfaces in memory, still carries a quality of rawness that catches you off guard even after all this time. Now hold that wound up against the assignment inscribed on your life and ask yourself honestly, is there anyone better equipped to reach the people who carry that same wound than someone who has lived inside it, survived it, and come out the other side with both the scar and the testimony? The answer is no, there is not, and that is not an accident. The depth of your wound is directly proportional to the reach of your ministry. The more profoundly you have suffered in a particular dimension of human experience, the more profoundly you are equipped to bring light into that exact dimension for others who are still in the middle of what you have already walked through. This is why the enemy attacked you in the specific ways he chose. He is not random in his targeting any more than God is random in his designing. The enemy studied your scroll. He understood the territory your assignment was meant to cover. And he directed his assault precisely at the areas of your life that, if wounded deeply enough, would either disqualify you from your assignment in your own estimation, or create in you such a level of pain that you would spend your energy surviving rather than thriving, managing rather than building, enduring rather than releasing the fullness of what was placed inside you. Every attack was a confirmation. Every targeted wound was, in its own dark and twisted way, a backhanded acknowledgement of the significance of what heaven inscribed on your life before you were born. The enemy does not waste resources attacking the inconsequential. He does not invest strategy into neutralizing the ordinary. He reserves his most sophisticated and sustained opposition for the ones whose assignments carry the most significant threat to his kingdom. And the fact that your life has been marked by a particular quality and consistency of opposition, the fact that things have been harder for you in ways that do not always make sense even to the people closest to you, the fact that you have had to fight for things that seem to come effortlessly to others, is not evidence of divine disfavor. It is evidence of divine selection. It is the fingerprint of an assignment so significant that the enemy decided you were worth a sustained campaign of interference. But here is what that enemy miscalculated. He thought the wounds would disqualify you. He thought the pain would silence you. He thought the accumulation of hard seasons would eventually produce in you a weariness so deep that you would lay down the assignment voluntarily, telling yourself you were resting when in reality you were retreating. What he did not account for was the nature of the God who inscribed your name on that scroll. Because the God who wrote your assignment did not write it in pencil. He wrote it in the permanence of divine decree, and no force in heaven or on earth or beneath the earth has the authority to erase what God has sealed. The gifts and the calling are irrevocable. The assignment does not expire because of enemy interference. It does not get reassigned because of your seasons of hesitation. It remains yours, active and available, held in the custody of a God whose commitment to the completion of what he began in you is as unshakable as his own eternal nature. And the wounds, the very things the enemy intended as weapons of disqualification, have been transformed in the hands of God into the most powerful tools of your ministry. Your brokenness became your blueprint. Your wilderness became your classroom. Your darkest night became the laboratory where God developed in you a quality of faith that cannot be manufactured in comfort. The compassion you carry for people in pain did not come from reading about pain. It came from living inside it and discovering that God was present even there, especially there, in the places where His presence felt most absent. That discovery is a treasure. And the people who need what you carry are not looking for someone who has never struggled. They are looking for someone who has struggled and has found that God is faithful in the struggle. Someone who can speak about His goodness not from theory, but from testimony. Your assignment was written with full knowledge of every mistake you would make, every season you would lose, every moment of hesitation you would choose over obedience. God did not write your assignment based on a projection of your best performance. He wrote it based on His own perfect power, working through your imperfect humanity, which means your failures were already factored in. Your delays were already accounted for. Your worst seasons were already incorporated into a plan that was designed from the beginning to turn every stumble into a stepping stone and every detour into a deepening of the preparation. You have not fallen behind the plan. You are inside the plan. Every part of you, the refined and the still being refined, the healed and the still healing, the fully surrendered and the still learning to surrender, all of it is inside the plan. The scripture in the letter to the Romans, chapter 8, verse 28, does not say that God works some things together for good, or that He works things together for good when we perform well enough to deserve it. It says that He works all things together for good for those who love Him and are called according to His purpose. All things. The sleepless nights are in that all. The relationships that ended painfully are in that all. The opportunities that were missed and the seasons that felt wasted and the prayers that seemed to go unanswered for longer than any human heart should have to wait. All of it is in that all. And the God who makes that promise is the same God who wrote your name on the scroll before the earth was formed. You were not chosen because you were the strongest candidate. You were not chosen because your record was the cleanest, or your faith the most consistent, or your gifts the most impressive. You were chosen because God, in His sovereign and unfathomable wisdom, looked across the full landscape of human history and saw that this specific moment, with its specific needs and its specific darkness and its specific hunger for the kind of light only your story can produce, required exactly the person that you are, not the person you are trying to become, the person you already are right now in this moment, with every scar and every story and every hard-won revelation intact. That is who was chosen. That is who was inscribed on the scroll. That is who heaven has been pursuing through every season of delay and every moment of hesitation and every near miss that felt like failure, but was actually a rerouting toward this exact moment of awakening. And what comes next, in the final section of this message, is the declaration that will seal everything that has been spoken over your life today into the soil of your spirit and release the activation that has been waiting for the sound of your voice to set it in motion. This is the moment everything has been building toward, not just in this message, but in your life. Every section you have listened to today, every word that landed in the deep places of your spirit, every moment where something shifted inside you and you felt the unmistakable resonance of truth touching something real, it was all preparation for this, for the declaration, for the word that you are about to release into the atmosphere of your life that will shatter every chain that hesitation and fear and delay have ever built around the fullness of who you were created to be. But before the declaration, there is one final truth that must be laid as a foundation beneath everything you are about to speak. Because declarations without foundation are just words, and what you are about to release is not just words. It is a spiritual act It is the sound of a chosen one stepping across the threshold of every excuse, every almost, every not yet, and every what if, and planting both feet firmly on the ground of their divine assignment. And for that act to carry its full weight, you need to understand what it is standing on. It is standing on the faithfulness of a God who pursued you through every season you tried to outrun him. It is standing on the patience of heaven that kept sending the message in 100 different forms. Because the assignment inscribed on your life was too important to leave undelivered. It is standing on the testimony of every hard thing you survived that you were never supposed to survive on your own strength alone. It is standing on the irrevocable, permanent, unshakable decree that your gifts and your calling were sealed before you were born and cannot be canceled by anything you have done or failed to do between then and now. That is the ground beneath your feet, and it is solid. It is ancient. It is unbreakable. And you are standing on it right now, in this moment, whether you fully feel it yet or not. Now hear this. The season of almost is over. The chapter where you stood at the edge of your destiny and pulled back at the last moment is closing with this very breath. The pattern of skipping what heaven sent you, of silencing the prompting, of filing the divine invitation under someday, that pattern does not get to continue from this point forward. Not because you are now perfect, not because the fear has suddenly evaporated, not because every question has been answered and every circumstance has aligned and every resource has appeared, but because you have made a decision, a clear, irreversible, heaven-witnessed decision that the version of you who keeps almost responding is not the version that is going to carry this assignment into its fullness, and the version that will is the one that stands up right now and opens its mouth and lets the declaration come out. So say this. Say it aloud if you can, and if you cannot speak it aloud, then speak it in the chambers of your spirit with the full weight of your intention behind every word. Say, I am chosen. I was chosen before I was formed. I was chosen before I understood what choosing meant. I was chosen not because I earned it, but because God, in His sovereign wisdom, looked at the full landscape of my story and decided that what He placed inside me was exactly what this moment in history required. I am chosen, and I will not skip what heaven sends me. I will not silence the prompting. I will not file the invitation under someday. I will answer. I will step. I will move. I will speak. I will build. I will release. I am a chosen one, and the season of my full activation begins now. Let that settle. Let it move through every layer of who you are. Let it reach the places that have been waiting the longest to hear it. Because that declaration is not just words coming out of your mouth. It is a spiritual event occurring in the realm that governs your physical reality. It is the sound of chains breaking. It is the sound of doors opening. It is the sound of heaven responding to the yes that it has been waiting for with a patience that defies human understanding. You are unstoppable, not because of your strength, but because of whose strength lives inside you. You are unshakable, not because your circumstances are stable, but because the one who holds your assignment is the same one who holds the universe in place. You are unchosen by nothing and no one, because what God seals, the enemy cannot unseal, and what heaven has written on the scroll of your life cannot be erased by human opinion, by past failure, by delayed seasons, or by the sophisticated whispers of a principality that has spent years trying to convince you that you were ordinary. You are not ordinary. You have never been ordinary. And from this day forward, you are going to live as though you know it. Now, before this message closes, we need to speak to you about something that comes entirely from the heart. This channel, this space where these messages are created and released into the world, is something we pour everything into. Prayer, time, genuine spiritual investment in every word that goes out. And we want to be honest with you about something. This channel has had its monetization removed by the platform, which means that every video you watch here, every message that has found you, at the exact moment you needed it, is being created without the financial support that most channels receive. We are not saying this to create guilt. We are saying it because you deserve the honesty, and because we believe in the kind of community where truth is spoken directly and trust is built on transparency. We continue to make these videos because this is a ministry, because chosen ones like you need these messages, because the calling to create this content is real, and it does not stop just because the platform removed a revenue stream. But creating content of this depth and this quality does require resources. And if this channel has been a genuine source of strength in your walk, if these messages have reached you in the moments when heaven needed to speak, and this was the vehicle it chose, and if you feel genuinely led in your spirit to help keep this ministry alive and growing, then we want you to know that there is a support link in the description below and in the pinned comment. Everything is detailed there. Every act of support, regardless of its size, is received with a level of gratitude that we cannot fully express in words. It is not just financial support, it is partnership. It is you saying that you believe in what is being built here and that you want to see it continue. Reaching chosen ones who are sitting right now where you were sitting when this message first found you. And if this is not your season to give financially, that is completely understood and completely honored. Your presence here is its own gift. Share this message with one person today. Hit the like button so that heaven can use the platform's own tools to carry this word to the next chosen one who needs it. Subscribe if you have not yet, because the messages that are coming are going to continue building on everything that has been released to you today, and you do not want to miss what is next. You came into this message as someone who almost scrolled past. You are leaving it as someone who knows beyond any shadow of doubt that the skip stops here, that the almost becomes a yes, that the someday becomes today, that the chosen one who was always inside you has finally decided to come fully alive. Heaven saw you before this message began. Heaven is celebrating you now that you have received it. And the life that is waiting for you on the other side of this moment is more than you have dared to ask or imagine. Go live it. Go build it. Go release what was placed inside you before the world began. The assignment is active. The window is open. And you, beloved chosen one, are ready.